Do you remember all the names of the people that you associated with in 3rd grade? No, because they weren't your community and it was short term. And he actually says that the public school system in and of itself is a network. It functions as a network. Guys, I cannot believe how much my video on, we're not challenging our kids enough in the homeschool world. What can we do about it? Homeschool is changing. That video, it resonated so much with you guys. I had no idea. I really did not think that video would do well at all. I was like, this is me just rambling. But you guys want a part 2. You shared a lot of information. I have been going through those comments. Actually, I'm on my 2nd round of going through them. And I'm just writing down things and taking notes. I actually submitted a talk to a homeschool convention. And I want to speak on actually what I'm going to talk about today, the family structure, and how our public schools pretty much are destroying our families and have destroyed our families. But I got to explain all the things because it's an extension of what I talked about in that other video. It's right there in the iCards. Right now, as I speak, it's about 8,000 views. It's probably going to be more when you check it out. Leave me comments. Let me know. Same with this video. If you want to share with me some of your thoughts, if I'm right on, tell me if I'm wrong, all those things, because I want to get it right. And I want to make sure that, this is something that is valid. This all started because I started noticing things. Just noticing things around my house, around families, fears, all the things, right? And I picked up the book again because it's my 3rd time reading it. It is called Dumbing Us Down. By the way, if you want a very head exploding type book that'll make your brain go wow, it is Dumbing Us Down. Link in the description box below. If you can't read the whole thing, chapter 2, 4, and 5 are the best and apply to homeschool. I was talking a lot in the other video about patterns. This book, Dumbing Us Down, was not written recently. It's more than 25 years old. It was written when I was in the public school system. And if he is thinking these things, because Dumbing Us Down, that title just in general says it all, right? The public school system, the private school system is dumbing us down for lots of reasons. He gets into it. But if that's what's happening to me when I was in public school, now that I am homeschooled, am I doing that to my kids? I also talked a little bit about the business side of things, that homeschool curriculum is a business. I think I talked about that. If not, I'm actually doing an interview live with someone and we're going to discuss that. But the point is that, homeschool is not where it used to be. And after COVID, it has really taken a major turn. And it just seems like everybody's homeschooling at this point. And a lot of them are just sticking their kids in front of the computers and doing virtual school. They're doing out school. More and more companies are coming with more and more computer-based type learning things. And I'm gonna say it. It does come from the patterns that we pulled from when we were kids. The patterns that we were taught from when we were kids. We're pulling from that. It's destroying the families. Now, the guy who wrote this book, Dumbing Us Down, I don't know if he was a Christian. He doesn't get into any kind of biblical worldview type stuff when he's writing the book. However, when I was reading about community and networking, chapter 4, I could not believe how much it applies to today and how much the truth of what he spoke, let me just tell you, okay? In the book, he's going to describe community, and I'm going to define my terms right now, okay? Defining terms are important because the word community can mean a lot of different things, okay? So networking, I'm going to first look at the word networking because I think it's pretty straightforward. So when you're actually networking, by definition, it's this idea of connecting with different people to further your career in whatever it is, okay? Whether it's the performing arts, whether it's science, whatever it is. If there is a person that is kind of lagging behind and slowing things down, you fire them if it's a job situation, or you just sever that network. Let's say the person, you're trying to build your business and there's a person that they can't connect with you anymore because they have to take care of a loved one in their home. Well, instead of turning and helping that person, you just kind of cut them off because you're focused on your business. And I hate saying that because we do want to care for people. But when our focus is work and our focus is in our persona and our identity of our what we do, because a lot of us will find identity in our skills. And there's so many bunny trails I can take off of this, and let that sink in, actually. Let that sink in for a second. Our identity, we're finding it in what we were capable of doing. In a community, all right, some people will say, oh, I'm building, for example, my daughter is in dance class, and the dance company wants to build a positive community for the kids. Okay, yes, there's different definitions for community. Now, I am going to define community in a biblical perspective. The book Dumbing Us Down, he defines community in a sense of family structure. And he's saying in the book, we need to focus on less schooling and more family. Okay, looking at the Bible, there's like so many. I'm just going to start reading off scriptures to you guys. Just hang with me, okay? What is a community? So, 1 Corinthians 1:10, that all of you agree with one another in what you say, and that there be no divisions among you, but that you be perfectly united in mind and thought. 1 John 1:7, it says we have fellowship with one another. 1 Thessalonians 5:14, we urge you, warn those who are idle and disruptive, encourage the disheartened, help the weak, be patient with everyone. Colossians 3:13, bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you have a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Galatians 6:2, carry each other's burdens. James 5:16, confess your sins to each other and pray for one another so that you may be healed. We all know that if we are in a job situation, and especially if it's like pretty intense, and we confess that we messed up, we could potentially lose our job. It happens. Proverbs 27:17, my favorite, an iron sharpens iron. So one person sharpens another. Y'all, there is so much truth into that, and you will not normally see that in a network. Romans 12:5, though we are many, form one body, and each member belongs to one another. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. That's Romans 12:16. John 15:12-13. My command is love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend. And let us consider how we may spur one another towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encourage one another. Oh, I like this one too. 1 Corinthians 12:25-7, if one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. Now you are the body of Messiah, and each one of you is part of it. You are not going to see that in a network. Like I said, if one person is ill and has to kind of leave whatever job they're starting, like their own business kind of has to close down, more than likely the majority of the people aren't going to continue to stay in touch with that person. They kind of fade away in the background, and their family or community will come alongside them and help them, but the network won't. Makes sense? Okay. But that is a community. Now, in the book Dumbing Us Down, it talked about, family is a community. One thing he said is that family is long-term. You are there with a person from beginning, and you keep going forever until death. There's a problem, someone's weak, you come alongside them, you lift them up, you show love, all those things that I just mentioned, right, in the scriptures. In a network, it's short-term. He said, do you remember all the names of the people that you associated with in 3rd grade? No, because they weren't your community and it was short term. And he actually says that the public school system in and of itself is a network. It functions as a network. So here's the thing. We have the family, the community, which in reality, here's the thing, because it's biblical, it's not just your family. It extends into your religious community or wherever you go to church or congregation, or just the close people around you should extend into your church. The problem is, and see, this is what caught my attention, is that it doesn't. Yeah. And just, you know what, as I talk a little bit more about how the public school system and the private school system, the school system in general is like a network, I want you to think, is this what's happening in the church? Is this what's happening in the Messianic congregations, right? Just think about it. Or homeschool co-ops. Just think about it, okay? So he was saying in the public school system, we have networks, and there are people that are smarter than others. Your identity is found in what you do. So I remember when I was in high school, there was of course we know the valedictorian, and the long list, you got a number, right? You were ranked based on your GPA. I don't know if anybody else, you didn't want to be in the hundreds, and that stuck with you. I don't know, I was number 83. I still remember my number. Now see, look at me, like I'm feeling like I was in the upper whatever percent, but it's not important because my identity should not be found in a number ranking system, but it was, because that was telling everybody what I was capable of doing. Same thing is happening with the sports, you know, you have titles and jobs within a sports team, and that is something like, that's your identity. If somebody breaks their ankle, right, and they cannot do the sport, they're not going to be able to perform in the game. It's almost like they lose their job. And if it's such a severe injury that they will never be able to perform in a game, it's almost like they fizzle away. Let's look at it in a church system. All right, how many people find their identity as being the pastor or the worship leader? Is that functioning properly, or is that mimicking something that was set up, that was, you know, coming from that public school system? This network that kids are being sucked into or sent out from their homes, right, from their parents, this network is pulling our kids away from their family. Your family should be a community. Should be. That's how it should function. Where someone's down and out, you take care of them till the end. Period. Now here's the thing. Because we were thrown into this networking system so early, we naturally desire to have a community. And so we are trying to seek out a community within a network system. And we're not going to find it because of that cutthroat competition, because your identity is found in what you're capable of doing, and because it's so short term. You're really into something, and then you just, when it doesn't work for you, you cut it off. And I think that's why today our divorce rates are so high, because we are trying to find community with a networking mindset, because that's how we were raised. Okay? And that's what we're bringing in now as parents. We have this networking mindset, and we think that's socialization. See? We think that's socialization. Networking is important. It is important. It's not as important as a family and a community based in biblical principles. Because first of all, we're not perfect. We're going to mess up. Our identity is found in Messiah, not in what we're doing. But when we're sick, who comes to our bedsides? Our parents. When our parents are sick, who comes to their bedsides? Their kids. Church is supposed to reach out and care. But see, that even in itself has become a business. Now, because children are thrusted into this network at such an early age, there's a couple things that happen. Loneliness. They're seeking for that community, but they're not going to find it in a network. They're only going to be able to find it in a home, and they're lonely. Homes are broken because the divorce rate is so high, and that is truly because I think they were raised in that networking mindset. They're lonely too, and they're broken. People don't know what it's like to stick it with people long term, through the ups and the valleys and all the things. I know some advice that has been given to me in the past is, you know, now that I'm building, you know, my YouTube channel and my business, and, you know, I have a lot of dreams. I do. Like, I just desire, I don't know, it's crazy and when I say it, but it is. It's a desire for me to help as many homeschool families as I can to just not be afraid to break the mold and homeschool without fear of doing something wrong, you know, upsetting the public school system. Like, you know, this fear, right? This fear that I am going against the grain right now and I feel all alone in this. I want so badly for people to homeschool the way that they want to homeschool. And I really, really am heavy-hearted with the special needs community and also the biblical community. I've said all this before, but I have dreams. And people have said to me, well, you know, if anybody's slowing you down, you need to like cut it off. You learn from them and then you move on, right? Like it's a network. And I struggle with that a lot, but that is kind of the mindset. I consider myself at I had a very different kind of situation than most people had, right? When I was growing up, my mom was very, very ill, and I watched my father sacrifice everything for her so that she could be happy, that she could die peacefully, that she would be out of pain. He sacrificed job opportunities. He did not divorce her, and I've heard stories of husbands divorcing their wives when they get sick. Which one is a community? Which one's a network? If you guys can, leave me a comment down below. Like, have you noticed this? Have you noticed how broken and lonely people are because we don't have community? And not to mention these people that are bringing their kids home, right, from the public school system, and they're going to homeschool their kids, but they lose patience. I mean, scripture said we're supposed to have patience with one another and lift them up when they're down. Like, our kids are having struggles with math, and maybe they have a disability, like they're just dysgraphia or something, and you know, are we just going to insult them and lose our patience? Yeah, sometimes we do, because that's human nature, but because that's what we came out of. So we need to break that habit. And we need to look at what scripture is telling us. We're a community, we lift up our kids when they're down. Like, even today, you know, I'm not going to go into detail too much, but something happened between me and my daughter. We kind of got a little argument and stuff. But we talked about how she is stepping into her middle school years. And we prayed, seriously prayed, because it's not easy. And we need grace and mercy with each other, and we need the Lord to intervene in these next few years to try and keep the bond strong between us. So we actually, you know, that kind of stuff, we know it's going to be rocky. Like, I hope it's not. But we know we're going to struggle, and we're going to lift each other up through the process. But in a public school setting, like, it's totally different. In a networking setting, it's totally different. I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself, like, a lot. So, you know, honestly, go down, read the comments, listen to anything I have to say, and if it resonates with you, just leave me a comment down below letting me know what it is. I guess my question to you is how are we going to get our families back? I think we need to function more like a community within our families, but we also need to do that in the church. And how and what should that look like? Is our church a community or just another network? And also, I've been spending a lot of time just writing down who my community is. And I was really surprised at what I did when I wrote them down. It was very small, but I realized that there are people in my life that I spent a long time with. I've been at my congregation 17 years. And there are people that have been in my congregation for that long, that have known me that long, and we've grown together. We've offended each other, but we've seen each other in our highs and our lows. And I don't think I would ever leave some of those people. But that's how a community should function. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, there's a lot to think about there. Let me know in the comments below. And if there's like something in here that you're like, she needs to make a video on this, let me dig into that and tell me your thoughts. So thank you guys, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.